We really out here in the darkness to talk about Cormac McCarthy and Jack London. And it's funny that this just came up in my research because I just read with my class that I teach for high school English To Build a Fire by Jack London. And in the archive of the Rhodes drafts, McCarthy references this story. He writes To Build a Fire dash dog and underlines the dog two times. And this is near the section of the book where the dog appears. And if you don't know, To Build a Fire, a very famous story about a man who's going to a mining camp up in northern Canada. And he's warned by an old timer that no one should travel when it's over 50 below and it's negative 75. And he has his dog with him. And the guy shows a lot of hubris and ends up freezing to death. And at the end, the dog's looking at him and trots off to the mining camp by himself after the man tries to kill the dog to use its carcass for warmth. So with the dog, there is only one major similarity, is that in the story, the man tries to kill the dog and is unsuccessful. And in the road, the father and the son the father somewhat contemplates killing the dog that they find. But, in one of these big moments in the story, he's like, why would we kill this dog that's a skeleton? And in the road, the main quote goes, she walked down the road. The boy looked after her, and then he looked at me and then looked at the dog, and he began to cry and beg for the dog's life. And I promised I would not hurt the dog. And that's what makes the road so potent. It's one of these beautiful scenes where almost all animals on Earth are dead, and like a dog being a scavenger. It's such a rare sight, and most people are going to eat it, but it really has no meat left on it. But at a deeper level, both stories are about survival. Both are really taking place in the winter. That's one of the big, obstacles of the road, that it's getting super cold, and they're trying to make it south. And both have that kind of pessimism and darkness of naturalism. Even though the styles are extremely different, it's fun to see how McCarthy's mind works. He's tapping into all these old stories, and that's why you read. That's why you put the time in, because eventually you can draw back to these stories in a time of need. Even if you're not a writer, if you're ever in trouble or in a winter situation, you can always look back to Build a Fire or The Road for a sort of direction in whatever endeavor you were doing.